Hey everybody, it's Jeremy, and welcome to a new episode of Sipping with Jeremy. And we're going to have a new segment today called What Do I Do With This? So at the store from time to time, I do have people ask me when they're buying spirits, hey, what can I do with this besides just drinking it? So I thought this would be a fun way for us to taste out some cocktails and just talk about other spirits at the store. So in today's episode, we're going to be working with the Brucato Amaro Woodlands. So Brucato is based out of San Francisco, and on the label they say that Brucato infuses the highest quality fruits, herbs, spices into Amaros that celebrate California's unique landscapes. In Woodlands, elderberry, fig, and cacao suggest the deep shades of massive redwoods and ravines lined by ancient oaks. And they kind of give you that profile on the label too, so they definitely give you a feel for what you're going to be tasting or the mindset they want you to be in while enjoying their spirit. So let's go try the Woodlands real quick, see what that's like on its own. So on the nose, you definitely get that cacao, that big chocolatey kind of flavors to it. There is some like softer berry fruit as well, but that cocoa is really big. There's rich cocoa flavor, a lot of dark fig notes to it as well. And then there's really nice like floral elderberry aspect. That kind of gives it just a little bit of acidity. Because of the richness on this Amaro, there's a lot of different ways you can go with it, I think. But one of the first things that comes to mind to me is doing a Manhattan, but substituting vermouth for the Amaro itself. So in a Manhattan, you have whiskey, typically a bourbon or a rye. You have your vermouth, and then you have bitters. So on this one, we're going to switch out the vermouth with this Brucato. So let's get this into the glass and see what's like. Since the Brucato is pretty big, I don't think you need a whole lot of it. So I'm just going to do about a half ounce, maybe 3/4 of an ounce of it. Then you add your whiskey. I'm using Willett's Old Bardstown bourbon. Looking for like an easy drinking whiskey that you can do with a lot of cocktails. This is a good one to go for. So we'll do 1.5 ounces of that. And we'll add some bitters. I'm just using Angostura bitters, the aromatic bitters. And we're just gonna grab this guy, give it a little stir, pour it in. So there we go, a Manhattan with Brucato Amaro instead of vermouth. I call it like the financial district, I guess, for San Francisco in honor of that. But yeah, let's check it out. So the baking spices and the oak spice of that bourbon works really well with the dark fig notes of the Amaro. You get a little bit of those cocoa notes that work well with the caramel, and looks like some softer vanilla flavors as well from the bourbon. So that works really well with the cacao. So just a really nice smooth style cocktail, really. I mean, just a take on a Manhattan, but this one does play really nicely. If I did have the proper garnishes, I'd probably put some like fig or some type of like blueberry or dark berry like in there, maybe a cherry. I mean, you could just go with the classic cherry for Manhattan too. But yeah, that would definitely be the type of garnish I would do for this. Yeah, I mean, Angostura bitters, again, this gives you a little bit more aromatics on the nose, so that works well with the cacao that you got on the nose from the Amaro. Softer kind of peanuts and a little bit of toasted vanilla that you get from the bourbon. They all just play really well together. So that's just a super easy drinking cocktail. But like I said, there's other cocktails we can do with this. Another one I could think of would be some play on, like a Negroni. Typically in your Negroni, you're doing equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari or an Aperol. Now we're going to switch out Campari Aperol for the Brucato. And we're actually going to do a little less of it because since we are doing sweet vermouth as well, and there already is some sweetness in the Brucato, we don't need as much of the sweet vermouth. So we're going to do 1 ounce sweet vermouth, 1.5 ounces each of the Brucato, and our gin. 1 ounce of red vermouth, 1.5 ounces of our Brucato. Use Portuguese Bend Smoke Bay gin. I kind of wanted to go with the more spice-forward gin. Not something that's super citrusy or not something that's super juniper-forward, but just something with a little bit more spice because I think that would balance out nicely with what we have going on in the glass already. So let's throw this in, 1.5 ounces. And, a really nice thing about doing a Manhattan or Negroni, or the two cocktails we've done so far, is that you can actually build it in the glass, so you don't need a shaker or anything else. So you can just build it in glass, and there you go, an Amaro Negroni, or Amaroni, if you wanted to. I'll put the two words Negroni and Amaro together. So Amaroni. Here we go. Now, before anybody comments, I do know there's Amaroni wine, but we're talking cocktails here. So your Amaroni cocktail actually has a lot of the same profile like your Amaroni wine would. Really rich, dark flavors to it. There's a lot of fig, a lot of that cacao. you know, with that vermouth, you're getting a little bit more sweetness, but it works really well with those softer cherry notes, playing with the fig really nicely, playing with the cacao really nicely. And then again, yeah, going with the spice gin for that really works, because the spice notes play well. A little bit of that spice, you get a little bit of sweetness, and everything kind of blends well nicely in this. And you know, it's a lot darker than your typical Negroni, but the Amarone is really fun to drink, because again, it gives you those loaded big flavors. And people who are fans of Amarone, the wine, you'll like this because it has a lot of those dark flavors. You know, Amarone has a lot of raisin notes to it, some cacao notes to it. This has a lot of the same kind of profiles. So you can definitely enjoy the Amarone drink if you're an Amarone wine drinker too. This last drink I'm going to make for y'all is actually one I came up with for a Halloween party we were having last year. So my fiance and I, we like to throw Halloween parties every other year or so, trying to think of the signature cocktail. And I knew since it was a fall time event, I wanted to do something with Calvados. So I had lemon juice and honey syrup, and those were all working really well together. And then I was just trying to find what the extra piece was. And so I tried a couple different, like I tried some vermouth, I tried a couple different Amaros, tried some different liqueurs too, but just nothing was really clicking. And I was like, I need something chocolatey, I need something with a little bit of fruit to it. And then while I was planning the cocktail for the party, I tasted with my suppliers, and I tried the Brucato for the first time, the Woodlands for the first time. And after I sipped it, I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for. So I actually asked them if I could have a little bit. So I pulled out one of our little sample bottles, one of these little guys, grabbed one of these little guys, and had them fill it up for me. Came home that night, played with it a couple different ways, and found the perfect combination for it. So this is what I'm about to make for y'all now, is what we called at the Halloween party, the Halloween special. Pretty easy cocktail. It's going to be 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. And honey syrup, if you haven't made that before, if people aren't sure about that, honey syrup, just like simple syrup, are super easy to make. All it is 1/2 and 1/2. You do half of whatever your sweetness is to half hot water. So honey syrup, you take a jar, you know, like this mason jar that I have. I filled half of this up with honey, filled the other half up with hot water, shuck it until it all dissolved into one nice little syrup. So I'm going to add that 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. We're going to do a 1/2 ounce of the Brucato Woodlands. And we are going to do 1.5 ounces of Calvados. We are using the Manoir de Montreal Selection Calvados. Nice kind of softer baked apple notes, a little bit of a saltiness to it too. I thought that saltiness really helped with this cocktail, because we have some bigger, kind of richer flavors here. The apple and salty on this Calvados really worked well in the cocktail. So yeah, 1.5 ounces, as I said, of the Calvados. And then since this is a cocktail with citrus, you are going to shake it. So get the top on shaker. All right, let's get this bad boy poured. Now again, garnishing, I would add an orange to this, like a nice little orange slice. I'm out of oranges right now, I apologize, but that would be the type of garnish I would use on this, or even like a little cinnamon stick too, since it is like more of a fall-y kind of thing. But yeah, Halloween special. Yeah, man, woo! Dang, that's still good. I still like that a lot. Yeah. You get some really big apple flavors up front. That lemon juice just really pulls that apple to the front. So you get some baked apple notes, but then you get some fresh red apple notes behind that as well. That little bit of saltiness helps kind of elongate that savory aspect. Then you get some really nice cocoa flavors in there. You get that softer kind of fig. The fig's really soft in this compared to the other two drinks we've had in. But you still get some nice kind of dark fruit richness on there. And then a little bit of cocoa that has just kind of rounds out the finish. Dries up the palate a little bit, actually. So you really get some softer kind of apple notes on the finish as well. So it kind of goes in this full circle. And it's just really nice. Just really well balanced. I mean, again, orange, cinnamon, something to garnish it with might give you a little bit more aromatics to it. But this is on its own is just really fun too. I just really love that apple and cocoa and fig combination it has. And that lemon juice, I mean, lemon juice is always important to me in cocktails. I use it in a lot of different cocktails. It really works in this. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this segment of Sipping with Jeremy. I hope you enjoyed the What Do I Do With This? Again, we were talking about the Brucato Amaro Woodlands. Try out the 3 cocktails. Let me know which y'all thought about them. We will have links below for all the spirits that we worked with today that we sell in store. Hope you enjoyed this. We're going to do more of these. I love talking cocktails as much as I love talking spirits, so I have plenty to talk about with y'all. Thanks for clicking on this one. Hope you click on another one. Drink well.